Well, end of an era, my friends. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Nikhil with Shelf-Esteem. I'm a composer, now also a booktuber. You can find my music in The Wheel of Time Season 2, His Dark Materials Season 3, and the newly released The Hills of Tanchico, the featured song in The Wheel of Time Season 3, Episode 6. And unfortunately, the last season of Wheel of Time, as we just heard, it got cancelled. Before I get into the music segment of this channel and a little bit about the Reading Roundup that I like to do every week, where I tell you a little bit about what I've been reading, anything interesting happened in the world, in my life, and just also posed a question to you to see, initiate a dialogue about our favorite books and stuff like that. I'm going to get to a music segment where I'll talk a little bit in depth about the whole Wheel of Time cancellation and, just about epic fantasy on television. But I think we could probably make that a whole dialogue in itself, a whole another video. So in the meantime, let's get back to what we always like to talk about on the channel, and that's the book. So if you like this kind of video, please like and subscribe. And now, on to what I read this week. Now, given the crazy news of this week and a bit of a tumultuous week, I still got a lot of reading done, somehow. And I think it's because I've been more focused when I'm reading and more intentional. The things that I've been, kind of compelled to read these lately is stuff that really requires deep engagement and thought-provoking material that you're thinking about it even when you're not reading it. And so I feel very blessed about that because, it's kind of forced me to be more critical with my reading, more thoughtful in how I choose to block out time for reading. So let's talk about the first book. Now, this one was a buddy read with Mark from The Book Thing. And I had mentioned to him that I wanted to read Louis L'Amour's Flint. Now, I think you might have seen in a previous reading roundup that I was a little bit less high on this book in the 40 pages that I'd read, of it. And then I ended up linking up with Mark from The Book Thing, and he was mentioning, hey, let's do a buddy read. And that actually really helped ignite some fire under me to really pay attention to this book. And it's one of my first Westerns I've ever read, really. I mean, the only other Western I've read is probably The Gunslinger by Stephen King, The Dark Tower Book 1. And that's kind of a Western, a borderline Western at best, because it's such a mashup of genres. So this was a true Western in all of its glory. I think it's interesting because I expected the Western to be more gunfights and, just a product of the time, right? The late 1800s, the Wild West, the unlawfulness and stuff. All that stuff was there, but there's a bit of more of a meditative quality to this book that I kind of really enjoyed. Kettleman, the main character in this, who adopts the name of his fallen friend, Flint, is a very isolationist kind of character, doesn't want to depend on anybody. He has cancer, which is the premise of this book, and he is a very singular loner kind of a person. And you see a lot of stuff through his POV, and you try to understand, the motivations behind his actions, I guess you could say. And I think when you kind of look at it from his POV and you allow yourself to kind of go with the meditative nature of this book, you really start to enjoy it. And I gotta say, Nancy Kerrigan, the other character, was fascinating character. Lottie was also a fascinating character. Certain ones that would be a foil for a character like Kettleman are, but in ways that you wouldn't expect. I think even, the showdowns that as they happen in the book don't quite happen the way you would expect. So I gotta say, this is 180 pages. It's a very quick read. I read it, I read those first 40 pages in a day. I took a break, and then I read the rest of the 140 pages, I think, in a day. So I was actually really into it when I revisited this. This ended up being like a 4-star book for me in the end. It's not quite mind-blowing like a 5-star, but if this is a solid Western, I mean, I don't even know, I haven't even heard much about Flint by Louis L'Amour. I've of course heard of Louis L'Amour's books, and so I'm interested to check out more of his works. I have Sitka sitting on my shelf now. And if this is any indication, maybe I like Westerns, who knows? There's only one way to find out, of course, and that will be reading Lonesome Dove by Larry McMurtry later this year. But in the meantime, I'm glad I got Western in a snack form like this book. The second book I got a chance to read quite extensively, might I add, And I'm pulling it up here so you can see the beautiful copy. Oh God. Okay, I have too many heavy books here. This one is the Broken Binding edition of Memories of Ice, gifted to me by my father-in-law and mother-in-law. And this book is just beautiful to read out of. I've been kind of switching back and forth between the hard copy and the Kindle because it's kind of nice to be able to read in bed as well. And I would never read this in bed, right? This is a book meant to be savored at the table where you're not oiling up the book or messing up the pages in any way. At least that's how I see it. So I want to treat this book with the dignity and respect it deserves. So I've been kind of dividing my time between the two. And I got to say, this is very complex, but you're getting so much more of a historical perspective on a lot of these characters. It covers the very distant past for some of the gods and their motivations. You're getting more insight into the crippled god, which, the final book is called The Crippled God in the Malazan Book of the Fallen. So I'm very excited to see, what's going on with him. I'm going to do a dedicated review of this as I do with all the Malazan Book of the Fallen books, because this is our, hard channel read along that we're doing, official channel read along. I think there's 58 people now on the FABLE app reading chapter by chapter, and we have some Discord discussions going on as well, which you can check it out in the comments below. But I gotta say, I'm loving it. I don't know quite if I'm loving it as much as Dead House Gates yet, but I'm about chapter 16. There's about 25 chapters and then an epilogue. So I think it stands to reason I could probably get this done in the coming week, that last week of the month before June hits, and more books arrive on the docket for me to get through. So that's kind of the plan for this. But I gotta say, this is solid 5 stars for me right now. And that is even saying that it's not even the best book in the 3 so far for me. So you get an idea of how I'm feeling about the series. And, again, I'm convinced. As soon as this 10 is over, I'm going to start reading the side stories and the novellas and, of course, the sequel trilogy and stuff like that. So that is going to be a must read, because this is stealing my heart in every way possible. But that was the second book. The third book, I didn't get a chance to read much of. So let's talk a little bit about, I think this is a good segue to talk about what I'm going to continue to read this coming week. So, as I mentioned, Memories of Ice. Then I'm going to re-pick up this one, Nemesis Games. This is book 5 of The Expanse by James S. A. Corey, which kind of takes place a couple hundred years in our future. So, distant future, but still kind of close enough that you can see ties to our reality here. And it's interesting to see the concepts of like universal basic income, everything we're grappling with today in our current climate, and what are the effects of that, the far-reaching implications for those who are still on Earth and not exploring the planets like everybody else. This book has kind of opened up to a wider space opera, I think, compared to the previous 4 books, which I'm really enjoying. I'm about 100 and what? Let's see what. Oh wow, I'm already at 222. This thing reads fast, so there's only 550 pages, so I'm almost at the halfway mark now. And I gotta say, this is my favorite book in the series, I think. I'm really enjoying it thoroughly. I think the character introspections, I didn't know that we'd get as much character introspections of Amos, Naomi. These are characters that I've really enjoyed in the previous books, but they were more for a specific role. I think you're kind of seeing them take center stage in certain scenes, and I'm really enjoying that aspect of things. So I'm excited to see where things go from here. Alex, also another character. So, and James Holden, of course, but the other characters are getting a little bit more page time, which I'm really appreciating. So this is definitely something I'm planning on finishing this week if I can. And then, of course, I have to talk about release day, you guys, because the release day is coming for Stephen King's newest novel. And as you can see from the shelf behind me, he is my favorite author of all time. And I have a whole shelf dedicated to the man because he is one of the most prolific authors and he writes in so many genres. And this particular one called Never Flinch, which I think is out on Tuesday as of this taping. So this one is a Holly book, which I know a lot of people are kind of on Holly. Holly is a character that I've enjoyed in the other novels. She appears in the Mr. Mercedes trilogy, which is a crime fiction trilogy. She appears in The Outsider, a couple of other novels. Holly, of course, the self-titled book as well. And I'm curious to see if King is going to continue with this character or, at some point put her to rest. I don't know. We'll see. But I'm excited to read it. I will be a day one reader because anything Stephen King, I will always be a day one reader. As long as that guy's writing, I will be reading. So I look forward to kind of telling you how it's going, and we'll see. I mean, if the book feels riveting, I might even finish it this coming week, which is kind of crazy because there's some plans that are going to be coming up at the end of the week. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that in the music segment, but that is what I'm going to read. Let's talk a little bit about the channel updates. So we are at 1,207 subscribers now. We got a nice little bump over the last week, so it's nice to see more people joining both the Discord and then also the discussions in the comment section. And that's lovely. I mean, that's why I started this channel, is because I don't have a lot of friends who read a lot of books around me, I want to be around people who read because they're some of the kindest people I've met, and also really great critical thinkers that can have discussions whether we agree or disagree. So I've been really enjoying this whole thing, this experiment of Shelf-Esteem. So thank you for joining us. I released one video in addition to my regular Reading Roundup last week, which was my June TBR, which you can check out up there. 6 fantasy chonkers in this one. So how will I get to it? We shall see. But I am confident that I can get to them because there's some read-alongs in the mix as well, and buddy reads and things like that. So if you missed that, you could check that out up here. And then, of course, on Sunday, which I'm actually recording this right after this particular interview that I had on live stream on Sunday. So you could check that out up here, but it was with the amazing, legendary Jenny Wirtz, talking about Arc 2 of her Wars of Light and Shadow series. This is epic fantasy, but it's not like any epic fantasy you've ever read. I mean, it's got a veneer of the classic epic fantasy, but it doesn't go with the regular tropes you'd expect to see. You're talking about 2 half-brothers like Lysair, Lord of Light, and Erthon, the Master of Shadow. And as their names would indicate, you would think they play a specific role, but as life is often messy and people are, more hypocritical in nature and not in cut and clean boxes, you start to see their characters evolve over time, and you start to wonder who is the good guy, who is the bad guy, and you start to see all the shades of gray. And Jenny Wirtz is an expert prose writer, and some of the most beautiful prose I've ever read. So it was a thrill to get to chat with her for an hour and a half, you guys, as we talked a little bit about Arc 2, what it means for the characters, where they're going. And, with an author like Jenny Wirtz, I always want to be extra prepared. So I'd written all these notes and questions, and of course, as conversations go, they deviated a little bit. We talked about the state of the publishing industry as well, about creativity as a whole, because we are both very fascinated by that process. So, Jenny, thank you so much for gracing my channel with your presence and for being such a wonderful beacon in this community. I mean, to have an author of your caliber be so friendly and kind and accessible to us readers and fans means the world. So if you missed it, you can again check it out in my live category as well. Let's talk a little bit about what is going to be on the channel schedule. So we shall see. I want to try to get back to 3 videos a week. This is my weekly Reading Roundup, always on Monday. I would like to get one done on Wednesday. If I'm not able to, which is quite possible, I will try to get something out on Friday. And the Friday video I want to do is the monthly wrap-up for May, because a lot has happened, both in books, in music, and all the things in between. So I'm very much looking forward to kind of releasing that video as well. So expect that one on Friday. And if I can squeeze something else in the meantime, I will definitely try my best to do so. Okay, I guess Pepper wanted to come down and be part of this segment. So say hi, Pepper. So this segment is called Book Mail. So getting books from fans of the channel, from authors who are releasing new works, and authors who have also released works before that deserve more attention. So I wanted to spotlight them and thank the authors for sending them. So the first one I want to spotlight, I'm going to try to balance both Pepper and this book, is... I think she wants out now. Let's see. All right, cool. This book was given to me, an advanced review copy, by the wonderful Chance Doan, who I'm sure a lot of you know, a wonderful person, fantastic booktuber, and I'm excited to check out his new book, his debut fantasy novel. This one is called Mercy, Tears of the Fallen. And I have to say, I want to show you this cover because this is absolutely gorgeous. Look at this. Just everything about this screams traditional publishing to me. Like, everything about this feels like a really good quality cover, the paper and everything, and a nice note that Chance wrote to me in the little inside flap here. And I'm very excited because it says here, for fans of Elden Ring, the Malazan Book of the Fallen and Joe Abercrombie comes an epic series where blades crash, kingdoms fall, and fate is never as it seems. I mean, I love all three of those, so yes, I'm definitely in. So I'm very much excited to read this. Chance, thank you so much for sending it to me. I'm going to also read the back here for you, so in case you're all interested in pre-ordering this comes out in July, so make sure to grab a copy in the link below if you'd like to. But here is the description. It says, "Mercy is for the fallen, a world shattered by war, a relic that can rewrite destiny, and two men, one hero, one exile, who might be the key to everything. Alavist Lightseeker was once a legend. His reward? Betrayal and murder of all he held dear. Eravane drinks to forget, but no amount of ale can quell his heart's desire to drive his blade through those that stole his future. A gifted minstrel carries a secret, a tale that binds the fallen hero and bitter exile together, a tale neither are ready to hear. Power and vengeance have a price, and in the war for the tears of the fallen, death follows from mercy." Epic fantasy. I'm so excited to read this. This is the book 1 of his series. I'm not sure exactly how many books are planned in the series, or if Chance has mentioned it, but I am so excited about this. I mean, like, everything about this sounds like it would be right up my alley. And I've heard it's ambitious in scope, which obviously I'm reading Malazan and Jenny Ward, so you know I love ambitious epic fantasy. So yeah, definitely check it out if you haven't already heard of it. And it will be out in July, and the link is in the description. The second wonderful book mail I got is from a dear friend of the channel who I've gotten a chance to chat with quite a bit, both in the comments and also on his channel, and that is Chaz from Bookish Chaz. Just a lovely guy, extremely I feel like he is so representative of what makes Booktube so great. A community-oriented spirit, a love of books, and a kindness, He is that kind of person. And he sent me 2 of his books. So I wanted to highlight them here and put the links in the description so you can check them out. Talendor's Guest. Not too chonky, which is great, actually, because there are a lot of chonky fantasy books out there, right? Talendor's Guest, and then this is the newest one. This is The Nomad's Crucible. I'm going to actually read the back of both of these books just so you can get an idea as well. So this is Talendor's Guest right here. To entertain a dragon, along the many complex currents of existence lies a bleak, desolate planet. One densely populated, lush with vegetation, and teeming with life, it now lies barren and forsaken, evidence of years of marauding by a great and powerful dragon. To this world, an equally powerful being has arrived, traveling the currents with his magic. The traveler soon discovers that he must entertain a very finicky dragon in exchange for his life, and only the most extraordinary stories will suffice. He may escape, yet there is a chance his travels may have come to an end. Such is the dilemma of Talendor's Guest. Really cool adventure fantasy with dragons. I'm in. Definitely excited to read this at some point this year. And then I'm going to read the back of Nomad's Crucible here for you. Vaston Tread, infamously known as the Nomad, is the most sought after and feared assassin on the desolate planet of Sidea. His precision and arcane powers know no equal, and his blades strike fear into all who encounter him. The Nomad never leaves a mark alive. Recruited by a powerful group known as the Regents, Tread sets out to kill the king of the ancient and powerful Vilden. Sorry, I'm figuring out these pronunciations as I go. Vilden. Inevitably, he finds himself embroiled in a turf war between the two factions as they vie for control of the planet's resources. As tensions arise, Tread discovers that a powerful sorcerer controlled by dark forces is playing the two factions against each other. The sorcerer quickly becomes an enemy, intent on undoing the very fabric of power and seizing the remains for himself. In a world where all the players have secrets, Treads are only beginning to surface, plagued by visions and dreams of an unknown past. Everything that Nomad knows about his vocation, his power, and most importantly himself is about to be challenged. It is a crucible that will alter the very fabric of who he is. Really, really cool stuff. It's got a lot of like kind of almost political intrigue, I think, as well. This is very unique to anything I've heard of, so I'm very excited to check this out. I'll probably read them back to back at some point, and that way I can kind of highlight them more on the channel. But thank you so much, Chaz, for sending these to me, and I'm very excited to get to them. All right, so let's get on to the music front, you guys. And ordinarily, I'm usually a much more positive guy on this channel. I try to maintain a sense of positivity anyways, even if I'm not feeling so hot, But I unfortunately received the news yesterday or the day before, I think it was the day before as of this taping, that Amazon's The Wheel of Time has been canceled after season 3, which I think the news is out now pretty widely. But in case you didn't know, I'm so sorry to be the bearer of bad news. I know the show was not without its faults, but for me, it always had a special place in my heart because 6 years ago, I read The Wheel of Time and I pitched on the show, and it ignited my love of reading in my adulthood again, and also epic fantasy. And I read all this fantasy as a result. I started a Booktube channel as a result. I discovered Booktube, Daniel Green, Mike's Book Reviews, Philip Chase, so many more. So The Wheel of Time has a special place in my heart. And then having the dream come true of getting to work on the show for 2 of the seasons, for season 2 and 3, culminating in The Hills of Tanchico, which I wrote for season 3. It was a dream come true. It was a culmination of so many things for me. The love of music, the love of books combined. To see it get canceled was really depressing to see, because it's an end of an era for me on a personal note. But man, what a great honor it was to be a part of the fabric of that show and work with such talented actors, actors for Hills of Tanchico, and then wonderful music team. So I'm just eternally grateful always to Lauren Balfe, the lead composer, for hiring me to be on his team and to contribute to this wonderful world that I'd fallen in love with through the 15-book series. So it is a sad day, an end of an era, but maybe the beginning of a new one. So on a lighter note, the Emmys push still continues because Amazon has reportedly said they're still going to throw their support behind the Emmys push. So my Emmys push continues with The Hills of Tanchico, which is for consideration in the Outstanding Original Music and Lyrics category. So I'll be doing some events leading up to that. What kind of events, you may ask? Well, if you're in LA, if you're interested in music, I will be speaking at 2 panels on the Night Temple Music and Media Conference, which is going to take place. It's the 3-day conference in Hollywood, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I'm going to speak on 2 panels, one about video game music. I'm going to be speaking alongside Gordy Hobb, which is a personal hero of mine. He worked on the music for all the Star Wars games of recent memory. Wonderful guy. And so I'm going to be on a panel with him about video game music and my work on League of Legends. And then I'm going to be on a panel about innovative scoring techniques. And I'm going to, of course, talk about The Hills of Tanchico and then also my other film, Dead Whisper, and combining instruments from all over the world for musical world building. This all culminates on Friday, day 1 of the conference. They've asked me to perform The Hills of Tanchico live as part of their kind of FYC event for the Emmys. So of course I'm going to do it. So I've been spending the weekend rewriting the song for string quintet. We're going to have 5 string players playing alongside me as I play the guitar, and I'm actually going to sing it this time. So I will try to get video of that so I could post it at some point so you all could see if you're a fan of the song, a fan of the show, and fan of the books. So I'm very excited about that, but rehearsals will be this week, so it'll be busy. And then I'm working on game music, of course, working on my game Dual Cores, and then also with my wife, Linda. She is working on her game, The Magical Rejects. I'm working on some music for that. So it'll be a busy week. But, as I always like to ask on this channel, I'd love to know, how's your week going? Did you have a good week? Did you read anything interesting? Anything you want to celebrate? Anything you want to chat about? Please leave it in the comments. I read every comment. I respond to every comment. It's very important to me because we're all friends here. We create a community together. And, I just really appreciate you all being here, I'm Nick here with Shelf-Esteem. Be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. Please share it with someone you think would like this kind of video and wants to join an inclusive community that cares about each other and wants to support each other's reading addictions. And I'll see you, as always, on the next video. Take care.